Hello, this is Josh from Monastery Dropouts. I just had a quick message tonight, and I was just meditating, and I wanted to tell you guys that this idea that you need to be saved is not real. And the direct experience that I've had with that is that the world there's a thin veil that is separating us from the deeper realities. And a lot of us experience this in meditation, and we try to relay it to other people who haven't experienced it yet. And for me, the message goes out to my younger self who really believed that I needed to be saved, because people told me that I was a sinner and that I was horrible in some way. And I just want to tell people and tell you personally that that is not true. You don't need to be saved. And I was trying to think about where this myth could have come from, and I think it may have come from a good place and people who just had darker minds and that they thought that they were so horrible that God couldn't love them in some way, and so they needed some sort of intervention on their behalf. Um, but the reality is that we are all sons and daughters of the living God. That's what we are. And so how are we so horrible that we need some other son or daughter to come intervene for us? It's a little bit ridiculous. And when you experience your body fading away and you can see into that more subtle world that is right there, when that that veil drops, the separation between you and the divine is gone, and there is no you and God, or no you and this other wider consciousness. It's just one entity. And the way I like to describe it is, if you could think of a tiny little bubble, which is you, and then you kind of expand a little bit, and then there's another bubble surrounding you, and that little bubble disappears into the bigger bubble, and then that little bigger bubble gets bigger, and then it just merges into the wider bubble, and it just keeps going and going and going until all the bubbles pop, and then there's just existence, there's just being. Or if you think of a small wave and it hits a bigger wave, and so it hits a wave from behind and it forms a bigger wave, and that wave hits a wave from behind and forms a bigger wave. That's what happens until you merge with the divine, and the reality just becomes light, and everything is light. You are light. There is only light. There's no separation. So what some religions say separates us from the divine is sin. And I believe sin was translated from this idea of missing the mark. We miss the mark in some way, and so we're blotched, and we've blocked ourselves from the sun, or like, God is like 1,000 suns, and so somehow we block that out by our horrible deeds. But that idea of missing the mark doesn't mean that you're completely cut off. And basically, there's a small veil, there's a small filter that is our minds, and that filter blocks out what we can experience and see. But that is such a small, weak thing, and that fades away so easily that it's just such a bizarre concept to me that people think that that we need to we need some sort of intervention to get us back to that. So if sin is to miss the mark, then how do we, if you are shooting an arrow and you miss the mark, what do you do again? You just keep trying and trying and trying by shooting that arrow until you hit the right mark. And that's what meditation is. That's what calming the thoughts, calming the emotions is. One day you'll experience very deep peace. You'll feel expansion. And then you might wake up the next day just feeling like total shit. And that's okay. What you do when you're feeling like shit, or you have dark thoughts and they're invading your presence, is you just focus on what you know to be true. What did you experience in the deepest meditations? You experienced deep, deep peace. You experienced silence. You experienced expansion. And you just keep focusing on it because you know it's there. It's always there. And experience I had recently was the Divine Mother just loving everything with an overwhelming, deep love and compassion. And it just kept hitting this small body like deep waves, so powerful. And I knew in that moment that it's always like that. It's always there. And so when I wake up and I'm crabby and little things are frustrating my mind, I know that that's just my little mind. And if I stop and pause for a second, I can feel that peace again. And then I just keep focusing on that, focusing on that, and focusing on that. And you can use my experience to help you. Just know that I've experienced it, and other people have experienced it, and people much more who have much more profound experiences than I've ever had. They experience very, very deep things, and they always say, it's right here, it's right now. Just get in the moment and know it's there. And slowly you begin to feel it. I like that phrase, rise and rise again until lambs become lions, because that's what we do every day. And then eventually, one day, you begin to feel a deep peace all of the time. And it feels really good. And you just keep focusing on that. And then you know that how are you going to be separated from the divine? How is sin going to separate you? It can't once you experience that. And just know that you are that. Remember as well that judgment is a form of sin. If there ever was a sin, judgment is a form of sin. You shouldn't compare and you shouldn't contrast things. And we do all the time, and it's fine. You can just let it go. You don't have to focus on it. But the thing I want to focus on today is not judging yourself. Just love yourself. When you experience an expanded state of awareness and you're looking on your little body, all you feel is love, because in that expanded awareness, you are love. And then you just love your little self and you have compassion for it. So if you look yourself in the mirror and you have these negative thoughts, or if you think about yourself and you have negative thoughts, try to let those go or replace them with thoughts of love. And just know that who you are in a wider sphere of awareness, that person is always loving you. And it's one of the ways to get out of that, those dark thoughts, is to just continually love yourself. So to reiterate, you don't need to be saved. There is no one out there who is going to save you, and you don't need to be saved. All that needs to happen is the recognition of divine love. Recognition that you are love, that you love everything, and that love is always radiating into you and from inside of you out into the world. And the illusions of this world can be distracting, but just know deep inside you, feel it deep inside you, that there's this love and it's always hitting you. And I thought about it earlier because I was meditating and I didn't feel like doing a video. And I was like, I don't want to do a video. I just want to sit in this peace and feel this divine love. And months and months back, I had a meditation, and one of my great teachers came to me and told me that we need to be doing these videos and sharing these experiences for people. And so I motivated myself to come talk about this. So know that I'm not lying to you, that these experiences are real. And just average people, I'm just an average person. If you talk to my coworkers or whatever, they'd just be like, he's just Joe Blow. Like, why is he talking about this stuff? And so just know that these things are there. And the reason I want you to know that is because when you meditate, or if you're not feeling great, you can just know that there's an ocean of love that you're floating in. And by focusing on that and just knowing it's there, you start to become it. When you switch your mind into just focusing on those positive attributes of the universe, like peace and quiet and love, then you start to become it. And then you start to vibrate at that frequency, and things start to come to you at that same frequency. So if you've had a challenging life, or if you've had an easy life, but you want to experience it deeper, if you want to experience deeper love, start to vibrate at that and focus on it. And like I said, like I have shitty days where I feel crappy and I feel crabby, and I tell my partner, hey, just so you know, I'm kind of crabby, like give me a little space. um, but it does help, and I do experience that. I'm like, okay, I know what's here. I'm going to focus my mind on it. And some days you're just in it and you're floating and it feels amazing. And some days you're focusing on what you know to be true and what's there. And then you begin to experience it more and more. So know that there's a lot of beings out there that are caring for you, that your higher self who exists right now is caring for you. I care for you, and the universe is lifting you up in this sea of love, and you're a bubble in this sea, and it's very, very powerful. And so I would try to meditate. I would try to go into a dark room, sit in the silence, and then sit in there for a long time and just see what you see with your eyes. See that energy moving, and then just know that there's a peaceful presence there that's hiding behind the filter of your own ego, the filter of your mind. So that's the main message today. Um, Same message as we usually say, everything is love. But there is no sin, and there's no one coming to save you, and you don't need to be saved. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful process that we're going through. Thanks for joining me, Josh, at Monastery Dropouts, and have a good day.